All right, welcome to this edition of the Take 3 Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, Earnest. Easy Chris coming to you from a quarantine studio on somewhere in parts unknown. On the line, of course, the two co-hosts, Mike the Squid Bernier, and of course Joe Lopez, who we're still trying to get him a Twitter account. It ain't gonna happen, so whatever. Fellas, what's up?
Not much. I'm in New York City where this thing is becoming Kevin Spacey and Outbreak. So.
Oh Jesus.
Neither one of your asses are quarantined. Don't even try to make it like you are.
Well, I'm self-quarantined, buddy.
But you know what?
Quarantine my ass.
But okay, to be fair, in New York City, and you know New York City, you understand New York City.
Yes, of course.
Like the mayor just announced about an hour ago that they are closing all restaurants and bars to
and
anything
schools
other than deliveries.
and schools.
And they've closed schools. I mean,
It came late, by the way.
And all movie theaters, basically, like life. So I mean, like I'm not I can go outside, but there ain't nowhere to go.
Right. Well, obviously, I mean, spoiler alert here for listeners. Our first take will be about the coronavirus and all that, and Wrestlemania. That's going to happen in a second. Quick, before we get started, as we always do on News Dump for the week, got a couple of things I wanted to hit up real quick. Of course, the announcement came on Corey Graves' podcast, Beyond the Bell, that the British Bulldog. After sorry,
get it right.
I'm sorry about that. After the bell, I apologize. And it's funny, you think I know that because I listen to the podcast all the time. Davey Smith, British Bulldog, will also be inducted, assuming there's a ceremony in a few weeks, will be inducted to the 2020 WWE Hall of Fame. I'm shocked because I'm surprised he was not in sooner. Because this is one of the standouts of my era. Obviously Hogan, Macho, all that, but Bulldog.
I think he was one of those people where there were like some legal issues for why he couldn't get in, or his wife wouldn't accept it or something. I mean, don't forget, they can't just put in anyone they want. They do have to have some sort of permission, and so.
Yeah, they can put anybody in.
Wait. Permission for Vince? Vince McMahon needs permission to what?
No, that's for real. They need permission from either the wrestler if they're still alive, or like the family and the estate,
of course,
to put them into the Hall of Fame to use, because they start using their likeness and all of that. So they need permission.
Of course, yeah.
That's why these guys get paid for getting to the Hall of Fame and sign that Legends contract.
Yeah, of course. But like I said, I'm surprised it didn't happen sooner. I mean, obviously, it's probably some legal mumbo jumbo, of course. Mike, your thoughts on the British Bulldog, Davey Smith, getting in finally?
I mean, obviously, it was, he sold out Wembley, and probably the only time that the Intercontinental title match was ever more important than the world title match.
Yeah.
Him and Bret have always had great matches, but I always feel like the family was on the side of not really going in because of the Owen situation for a long time, and I feel that that was definitely the way Davey and Diana went on that aspect. But it's nice to see that he finally got in. It's nice to see that he's going to get the proper recognition whenever that ceremony is going to take place.
Mm-hmm.
The key thing is when will that ceremony take place? Because I have no idea.
I'm really gonna get there. I'm really gonna get there in a second about WrestleMania and what's gonna happen. But yeah, congrats to Davey Smith, his family, obviously friends, all that, the Hart family, and obviously great. The last piece of news I wanted to discuss here, some legends in fighting, of course. Bret Hart was on a Instagram live session sometime early in the week, and someone asked him about Hulk Hogan, whether or not he liked Hulk Hogan. And to which he responded by saying, no, he does not like Hulk Hogan, he's a phony piece of shit. Bret Hart is a pretty honest and an open guy when it comes to, interviews and whatnot. He's very, very honest and transparent in that way. So I'm not totally surprised that he said this. But you would think after all this time, Bret and Hulk probably would have mended fences, but apparently not. And this goes back to the whole thing with 1993 when Hogan was leaving the company, and he had allegedly promised to WrestleMania 9 that he would put him over, and then he said no, apparently. There was some mix-up there between him, Vince, and Bret, and Bret obviously is still in his feelings about that. Fellas, your thoughts on this reality television infighting here between these two legends?
Hulk Hogan's still a dick.
I mean, look, I'm going to be honest, right? I kind of get the sense that Bret Hart has never liked anybody in his life
outside of the Hart family.
I'm not even so sure he liked most of them. I mean, I don't think they kissed each other goodnight every night. Like, that's all I'm saying. He doesn't come across as the friendliest guy, and let's face it, all of these people back in the 80s and the 90s, especially once they got to the top, they had the hugest egos. So, honestly, I'm not surprised when any of them say anything bad about each other, and I'm really not surprised when Bret Hart's the one saying it.
Yeah, of course.
I like find me a quote where Bret Hart is just like, oh, Randy Savage, really like that guy. You know what I mean? Like, he only says anything to be negative, and he complains about almost everybody.
I mean, there is something to be said about Bret Hart, at times, even back then, taking himself a little too seriously. But the guy
100%.
was pretty professional, too, at the same time. And, I mean, I don't know where you guys stand on the whole Montreal screwjob situation, whether or not it was either, just where you stand in general. But on one hand, you appreciate the honesty of who he is and how he is and, having shoot interviews, for many years and just being direct and honest about that. But I don't know. I'm not surprised about Hogan because Hogan. I mean, look, I'm one of the biggest Hogan. I'm a Hogamaniac. I've been a Hogan disciple since 1987. Okay, but yes, I agree. He does come off very phony, especially in his later years. So I don't necessarily disagree with Bret Hart here either.
When you're smart enough to get creative control in your contract, you can come off as a dick because you can, decide who you want to win and lose to.
Yeah.
So, blame Hogan for being a smart businessman and not getting himself into a pickle where he has to lose to guys he doesn't feel like he should lose to. Mm-hmm. Especially the way the wrestling business was in the 80s where it's like the big guys only lost to bigger guys or guys of the same size. Bret was never going to get over Hogan. And the fact that he, believed that Hogan would ever put somebody smaller than him over, that's his own mistake. And that's his own stupidity. Right. Stu should have smartened him up to that long, long ago. And when it comes to the Montreal Screwjob, I think everybody had a part in it, and I think it was supposed to be a way to get the belt off of Bret, and Bret ended up screwing himself because, he decided to go to WCW and get his face kicked off by Goldberg.
Yeah.
I'm going to say one thing. I'm calling this a hot take because I feel hot, and I'm about to take it. And we shouldn't discuss it because maybe I can save it as a topic, okay? But I'm just going to say one thing. Mm-hmm. All right? I don't think most people would even remember that Bret Hart was ever WWF World Champion if it wasn't for the Montreal Screwjob.
I can agree with that.
So title reigns were very forgettable.
That era, the next generation, the new generation was a little forgettable. I agree with that.
Bret's best 2 moments as champion: Montreal Screwjob and losing to Shawn in the Iron Man match.
Yeah.
Yeah, when he beat Diesel to get the title back,
no one cared.
No one cared, right? There's something to be said about that.
They didn't even his when he won the title the first time. It wasn't even on TV.
Against Flair. Against Ric Flair, yeah.
Yeah, it was a house show.
Yeah.
In Canada.
There's something to be said about that. To be honest with you, I actually tend look at it from the little broader scope. There's something to be said about that. I actually leaning there, but. Of course, Bret Hart's the name was still pretty big. I mean, Bret Hart was, no doubt, singles guy. So, but yeah, I don't know. I like seeing two old guys get all bitchy and stuff. It's kind of cool, right? Anyway,
that's very different things.
Yes, that's this week's news dump. All right, so I wanted to start the first take of the day on the show with an open discussion about everything that's going on with the coronavirus and when it pertains to WrestleMania and the whole event, what to do. What's going to be happening? I mean, make some predictions, of course. Because as it's recorded right now, this could change what time this podcast goes up to download. Right now, WrestleMania 36 is still a go. It's still a go.
I mean, we don't. But also an hour ago, the CDC put out a notice suggesting that there be no gatherings of more than 50 people in the entire country.
But again, the CDC is not Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon's a fucking, what? Come on. I'm being facetious, of course. Mike, is the clock running?
Yeah, I started.
All right, good job, buddy. So let's open a discussion here about the virus and everything surrounding WrestleMania. First off, real quick, Joe, I'll get you in a second. SmackDown on Friday. I'm kind of behind on some of my wrestling take right now. Other than AEW, I haven't watched Raw yet from Monday. I watched piece of SmackDown. Of course, I had to watch it immediately because of the the whole Performance Center and no one's there. Fucking weird, fucking cool. But not to be done every time. Not to be done too often, in my opinion. But just the SmackDown. I'm sure you guys already saw it, right?
I saw most of it.
What'd you think?
Yeah.
I think it was the best that they can do in a very crazy situation that's going on in our country and the world right now. I mean, I give them a lot of credit because honestly, they're about the only people that produced any kind of new entertainment last week, and they did it in a way that, look, I mean, we don't know how long that they're going to be doing it like that for. I think Dave Meltzer, and I think a lot of people have had this opinion, but I think Dave Meltzer actually was on some podcast or maybe even on sports radio here in New York City and suggesting what I think makes a lot of sense, which is that they should tape a lot of TV right now.
I agree.
And just have it ready so that
you did say that on a text. Actually, you did say that last week.
Yeah. I mean, that would make a lot of sense right now because honestly, look, if someone within the WWE, one of the athletes or something, comes down being positive with coronavirus, this is done. They are shut down then for the foreseeable future, just like the NBA and, so I mean, they should be smart right now when that's not an issue and just tape a lot of TV. I mean, but, you gotta give them credit. They're doing what they can. And right now is a crazy time. It really is.
Safe to say, Mike, that it's a matter of when, right? Obviously, with this situation. Canceling WrestleMania.
I mean, I would say that you're talking about a guy who's 1-0 versus God at WrestleMania. So I really feel like the guy's gonna hold out for as long as he can. And that may just be to try to get money from the city of Tampa. Which, I mean, I don't blame him.
Let's be clear. Tampa did already quite literally say, we're going to let the WWE decide if they want to cancel it, and if they don't, we'll cancel it. So, I mean, it's weird.
But if I'm Vince,
I'm
not even going to, cancel it if they've already said they're going to.
Right, exactly. Just let
you guys
I don't know what they're waiting on. It's kind of silly at this point.
As Vince once said before, life sucks and then you die. Just saying.
Okay, wait. I have a question for you, Ernest.
Go ahead, buddy.
Okay. And Mike, you can even answer this too. We actually haven't had this discussion, right?
Okay.
It's been 2 weeks, buddy. You guys saw writing on the news last week. Go ahead, sorry.
Let's say WrestleMania actually happens and you can get a ticket to it and you can go. Would you go?
No.
Why?
I want to die.
Yeah. And that's why this is really irresponsible that they haven't just canceled it already.
Sorry. I want to die. I can still watch it on TV. It's not that big deal, you know what I mean? So, have the network.
Yeah.
But you could walk out of your house tomorrow and go into a gas station and die.
I agree, but the odds are, I believe the odds are a lot higher being in a building or a stadium with 70,000 people. Oh, I mean, it won't be as much, but it'll be quite a few thousand people there.
Look, I'm gonna be honest.
But the thing is, if you tell me that 45,000 people go to that arena, and some of them have it and some of them don't have it, okay? You could literally walk to the gas station to get a soda, and the fucking cashier could have it, and you not know, and you could still get it.
But see, that's the thing. That's why, today, I could have gone to see a movie, because movie theaters are still open. They're closing tomorrow or Tuesday.
Did you?
No. Because
honestly,
I don't feel like the risk is worth it, because honestly, it's not even about getting sick. I wouldn't want to pass it on to anyone else. God forbid someone who can't handle it. I'm a young, fairly healthy person. I would be fine. I would recover. I don't even know if I would need meds. But I don't want to be stuck, quarantined for 2 weeks. You know what I mean? I don't want to literally be told, you can't leave your house for 2 weeks.
I feel like Mike and I could do okay quarantined for 2 weeks, but you? No.
No, I hate being stuck at home. Today, I went outside for 5 seconds just to get some fresh air, and even that, I kind of questioned whether or not I should do that. But I wasn't trying to go anywhere and see anybody today because it was just too it's just not worth it right now. And New York City, I mean, obviously we're an epicenter of when things like this happen.
Of course, that's home for me, man. I miss my home sometimes. Not today.
Yeah.
Not today though, but sometimes. I don't know. It's gonna happen, obviously. I mean, it's just a matter of, it's obviously a lot of political mumbo jumbo involved in this.
Yeah.
I think you guys mentioned on a text and certain comments ago that there's something where like if the city cancels it themselves, they owe WWE money.
That's the belief. I've read that some places. Yeah.
So I mean, obviously, some political mumbo jumbo on this. My question is this though, too, though. Like, how do you? And this is very obviously going now with the product itself. How do you treat these storylines now? Like, first off, do you cancel WrestleMania or do you postpone it? Do you see a summer WrestleMania maybe? Like, maybe bumping one of the Extreme Rules or one of those meaningless pay-per-views not named SummerSlam in the summer and make it there? I mean, you see that happening?
That's what I would do, Mike.
I mean, I think the thing that makes sense is that if you're going to move it, it has to be June, because it's the only way that you could also build SummerSlam. And who's to say that we're not looking at, like, possibly June before they could even have a pay-per-view gathering? I mean, we don't know what this window looks like.
Right.
This could very well be, okay, we get back to doing live shows in front of the crowd, like, the middle of April. Okay, so take the entire month of May and do it the first week of June, and let's go.
Right.
Case in point, what we saw last night, Friday night with SmackDown, and we're going to see a Raw this week, and probably SmackDown again coming Friday, is that this could be the new normal for a little while. Having shows, maybe tape shows, maybe not tape shows, and doing it with the Performance Center, with the one there. This could be a new normal for a little while to push storylines.
Yeah. For as long as they can get away with doing it, which is why.
And I think that's why it would make sense to where if you can start having gatherings again in April and May and June, then just see if you can get Raymond James to hold a spot and let you do it in June. Do it the first weekend in June, second week in June, somewhere along those lines, and that gives you still 7 or 8 weeks to build towards SummerSlam.
My only fear, though, going forward is because of everything that's happening now, because of the build right now, but, obviously Drew McIntyre and Brock Lesnar, of course, does this give Vince, and this thing is the worst part now, creative, because the XFL is now done for the year, Vince is probably back to creative at WWE again full time. Does he change his mind about maybe putting the strap on Drew McIntyre, assuming that's the case? That's the way they're going forward. I mean, there's a lot of things here that can be modified now because of the time allowed it. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, that's unfortunate. With someone who, as far as we all know from stories that we've all heard, Vince McMahon can change his mind on, like, the wind blowing in a different direction, and all of a sudden the guy that was about to become world champion is, wrestling on Sunday Night Heat. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So the more time that he has to think about something, I do think that has that. I mean, a couple of years ago, Roman Reigns was supposed to beat Brock Lesnar for the world title at WrestleMania until, like, I think mid-match, like, Vince changed his mind and, like, contacted the referee and was like, tell Brock to go over,
Was it the Seth Rollins, Money in the Bank?
No, not the same year.
Okay.
It was a couple of years later. They did Roman versus Brock is straight up for the title. And, I mean, the whole story was built on Roman needing to win that, and it was clear he was going to, and then he didn't. And the word is, and I think this was even in, like, a little bit covered in, like, the documentary they did on the network, or some documentary or something, but, like, the word is that, like, during the match, Vince changed his mind and got in contact with the referee. They have those earpieces, and was just like, hey, tell them change it, tell them Brock's going over.
Is that when Brock came back and threw the title at Vince?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's when that was.
Why is
that part was on the documentary.
Because you also, like, he knew at that point, just like everyone else knew, that, like, this audience was going to shit all over that.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they were going to shit all over Roman winning. Like, it was an impossible spot to be in. But they were going to shit all over Brock winning, too. So, like, he really put him in a bad situation.
Okay. This is Mania 32 or 33?
I want to say it was like 34?
Okay.
There's a lot. There's been a lot.
Hold on. You guys talk about it. I'll look it up. Hold on.
Okay, no problem.
Look, they're gonna have to cancel or postpone it. It's just gonna happen. The one funny thing I was saying, I was talking to Mike about this the other day.
Okay.
Most of the card that's been announced so far are matches that you can still, like, postpone and get away with building a little bit more and stuff. Like, Edge and Randy Orton doesn't need to happen in 2 weeks.
I agree with that, definitely.
Yeah, like, I think there's a reason why they haven't announced a lot of the more, like, matches that would seem like they need to happen. And truthfully, like, I think one of the only matches, like, Drew McIntyre and Brock should probably try to have. And probably Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair. But the funny thing is, I think you almost put yourself into a better situation with that, too, because you could have Charlotte actually win that belt and then have Rhea win it back whenever the eventual WrestleMania actually happens.
That's a good point.
It becomes more of a story, honestly.
And if you also, I'm not saying they should do this, but you can always add Bianca Belair to the story as well too.
Ugh.
If you wanted to. I'm saying
no.
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 Mike came back and F5'd the entire idea. No.
It was WrestleMania 34, and here's the thing: if you have Charlotte win the title at a meaningless pay-per-view, and you give Rhea the win at WrestleMania, it makes the NXT brand standalone bigger.
Yep.
And I believe Rhea Ripley is the only woman currently on the NXT roster that should get a win over Charlotte Flair,
Agreed.
or Bayley, or Becky, or anyone along those lines now that Shayna's full-time on Raw. Bianca Belair is not in the same league as Charlotte Flair. It's not even close.
I agree 100%.
Yeah.
So
Same.
keep her the hell out of it. Let her be the EST of the PhD of the EST of the NXT. And stay the hell away from WrestleMania.
What did Bianca Belair do to you? Did she refuse to TiVo with you?
I was going to say that. Is she on the Ricochet list now too?
She's on the Ricochet. She made the list.
No, actually not even close. I think Bianca Belair is great, but I don't think Bianca Belair deserves to be anywhere near a main event match at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, she's not rocket ship ready, and that's my one fear too. Also, like, are we sure Shayna Baszler is called up yet?
Yeah.
Because I'm not even sure I'm comfortable with Bianca Belair being the number 2 right now. Because right now she's number 2 behind Rhea. Right now, if we're assuming that Baszler is not part of Raw.
Yeah,
I would say she's in my top 5. I don't know if I'd say she's number 2, but okay.
I'm talking about priority. I'm talking about priority. Like,
I think she's positioned as number 2. I can agree with that.
Who's the other woman besides Rhea Ripley there right now, minus Shayna Baszler, is in position to be the next star come up in the next couple of years?
Dakota?
No,
but she's not there yet.
I'm sorry, they had a steel cage match on NXT television.
I agree completely, but I don't buy her as being going on SmackDown and winning the world title.
Not yet, and only that,
not yet.
I don't buy Bianca doing it in the next year.
I'm just saying what I'm saying, and I'm not saying you're wrong necessarily, Mike, either. What I'm saying is that, the way they featured her on Royal Rumble, and by the way, both Tegan Nox and Dakota Kai were at Royal Rumble, but they were never really featured like Bianca was.
Yeah, but what did Bianca do? She lost to Charlotte Flair on a meaningless NXT match, and you had Tegan and Dakota start NXT show.
Right, but that was more so to further the storyline. There was no way in hell to be able to.
And what is Bianca Belair's storyline? I'm the person that's upset because I'm not in the main event picture. Well,
here's the thing. Here's the thing. I think that the way that they're positioning it in terms of the way the audience is reacting to it right now, Bianca's clearly way more over than Dakota Kai is. Like, I think that's just a fact. I love the feud with her and Tegan Nox. I love that story.
Great match, really, too, on NXT last week. Or the week before.
I don't know that they've gotten over as much as Bianca Belair has.
Okay, then answer this question for me. She's already lost to Rhea. She's lost to Charlotte.
Right.
Who does Bianca Belair beat?
Everybody else.
Then what does that do for her? It does nothing because she's never going to win the title.
Yeah, but welcome to 1980s WWF when Hulk Hogan was champion.
Okay, welcome to 2020 NXT. We're going up against stiff competition that has a piss-poor women's division. Why wouldn't you go ahead and try to win that battle?
It's actually...
you're already losing the tag team battle.
Right, but they are trying. Like, they are giving it their best effort. Just sometimes things don't always get over with everybody.
But they're trying it. They're trying it with Charlotte Flair.
And I think they want to see also where she stands against the TV top. Charlotte Flair is TV top. So is obviously Rhea Ripley. And she stands up pretty well, but not ready yet.
Her first match against the greatest NXT Women's Champion was hot trash.
Yeah.
Her second match, a little bit better. Her match against Rhea wasn't anything great. Her match against Charlotte wasn't anything great. Her act is absolutely perfect. Her WrestleMania moment, her Royal Rumble moment was absolutely perfect for what it was. It was a spot in a battle royal. In a one-on-one 10 to 15-minute singles match, I don't even think she's in the top 5 of NXT women's for in-ring philosophy.
If not her, then who?
I would take Tegan. I would take Dakota. I would take Rhea. I would take Mia Yim. And I would probably take... if I'm including... No, I'm not even going to include the UK because I would say Kylie Ray. But I'm gonna give you Io.
Give me Tony Storm. I
mean... I said I wasn't including the United Kingdom.
Right.
I'm saying from the standpoint of in-ring philosophy, who I think's better than Bianca Belair in the ring. Give me Io, give me Mia, give me Tegan, give me Dakota, and give me Rhea.
But none of that matters if Bianca's more over with the audience.
But it will, because people are going to start getting sick and tired of seeing her do the same 3 moves. We literally complained about Shayna Baszler doing the same 7 moves inside the Elimination Chamber in 21 minutes.
No, I agree, but I'm just saying, like, the general audience, I mean... I don't know.
Real quick,
Joe.
Joe. Okay, go ahead.
Hold on. Let me finish with this real quick, and then you guys can finish. Name me an overacted NXT that's gone on to the WWE Raw or SmackDown roster and succeeded. Because it wasn't No Way Jose. It wasn't Adam Rose. It wasn't The Ascension. There hasn't been an act that's over inside Full Sail that's gone onto the main roster and been successful. Mojo Rawley is a joke. He was the most hyped guy in NXT for 6 months.
What about Finn Balor?
What about the Street Profits?
That's too early to tell.
They've hit on 2 out of what? 12?
I guess the ratio
they're getting a pretty decent push right now, and they're doing the same act.
Okay. And Adam Rose did the exact same act for what, 3 years?
Where we at on the clock real quick? We're on the clock.
We're not even on the subject anymore.
Real quick, before we go, next topic, because we have 4 seconds to go. Because Full Sail shut down also, too. With this.
Yes.
Is NXT going also for World Center as well?
I think anything that they can do from there, they're going to do until the point where they literally can't film anymore.
Okay.
Also,
all right.
Also, silver lining for Mike, Jushin Thunder Liger might not go in the Hall of Fame now.
This year?
Not till next year? Yeah.
Yep. Hell yeah.
Okay.
Need more Liger.
More Liger. All right. That's our first take of the day. Who's next up? Joe or Mike? Who's going next?
Rock, paper, scissors with
Mike, what do you think? What do you think should go next?
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
What'd you throw?
Scissors.
I threw paper. Okay, you go.
Hell yeah.
All right, do it.
All right. So, my topic for this one, and I'll let you guys start with your answers, and then I will come in with my responses. My topic is the best individual and or tag team to not have a main title run in the WWE, WCW, any promotion that you want to throw on the table. Best non-champions.
Ooh.
Okay, well, I'll go quick. I have one of each. Singles guy. Now, granted, this guy didn't need a title to get over because he was already over. But I wouldn't have minded him getting the IC belt maybe for a few months here or whatever. Jake Roberts. I mean, didn't need it. Again, he was a attraction, him and Damien, of course. But
right.
I wouldn't mind it if he got a little run. I mean, he wasn't in the conversation. I mean, I met him and Macho had a couple in '86, had a couple nice little matches, on Sunday's Main Event, and that was the first one when Macho was actually heel and Jake was turning face.
Right.
Not the one when Macho got bit with a snake. But I thought Jake could have gotten nice. There was a little point, 86, 87, 88, where he was. I mean, there were rumors too that he was getting more pop than Hogan at one point.
Right.
But Jake, but Vince had to put the kibosh on that because of the fact that Hogan was the cash cow.
Somebody getting a bigger pop than Hogan? That's not allowed.
So wait.
Exactly.
So earlier today, when I was thinking about this topic and I was thinking about who I might say, Jake Roberts did pop into my mind. And he's not my answer. He's not the person I decided to go with. But one of the things I thought about with him, and I think it's valid to a point that you were sort of making here, if he was a wrestler about 10 to 20 years later, if he was around during the Attitude Era, the Ruthless Aggression era, all these like next eras, he would have been Intercontinental Champion and U.S. Champion.
He might have been World Champion, to be honest with you, because Ruthless Aggression was so wide open outside Cena, of course.
A lot of people had a lot more opportunities than you did if you were in the WWF in 1987 through 92.
Yeah.
Like if you were in the WWF in that time, if you were a face, you probably were never going to get a title shot.
Right.
If you were a heel, you probably were never going to win the title unless it was going to be for a week. So Hogan can win
Put it this way, Joe. In the Hulkmania era, you had to be special to hold that belt. Macho was special.
No.
Warrior special.
In the Hulkmania era, you had to hope Hulk Hogan needed to go film a movie to win that belt.
Yeah, but Macho was special too, though. Macho was
of course.
And so was
But
Warrior.
if Hogan wanted to be champion that year and not go on vacation or whatever the hell he did, he would have still been champion.
My tag team one here. This might shock you guys a little bit, because I don't think these guys were used properly. You know, Powers of Pain. Powers of Pain, I thought, was actually better in the ring than Demolition was, but for some reason they just you know, it's funny, like they came in as baby faces too, and then they flipped, and then they flipped it. Survivor Series '88, they flipped it. Mr. Fuji turns on Demolition,
right?
He takes over, and you think, okay, well, this will be the big push, and I don't know what happened. Like to me, Powers of Pain was always a better team than Demolition, in my opinion.
Really?
Yeah, because they did more in the ring. They were actually a lot more flashier. Barbarian was always going off the top rope, and you know, Warlord was a fucking beast, and I always thought Powers of Pain was misused.
I can see that.
Warlord walked around like he had to take a shit.
Oh yeah, of course.
Powers of Pain came across more like an actual Legion of Doom ripoff than Demolition did.
Bingo.
Correct.
Bingo. That's correct. Yes.
And there's a reason why that act worked so well.
I don't know. I thought they were misused, to be honest with you. So, this is my...
Oh, yeah, no, I love Demolition, too, especially as a kid. But I'm just saying, let's be honest, like, the Road Warrior act, like, you could do that in almost any company. I mean, the Viking Raiders are basically trying to do that, you know?
Mm-hmm. I'm just saying, in the ring, Powers of Pain is actually a better team than Demolition in terms of what they can do skill set-wise. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I agree.
All right, I guess Joe next.
Joe?
All right, so the guy I'm going with, and again, this falls into that whole, like we were just saying, like 1987 through 91, like
I
if you
like
were
it.
in WWF, you probably weren't winning the world title if you weren't Hulk Hogan. I kind of wish Ted DiBiase had actually gone on a world title reign.
Yeah.
Even if the way he had gone down winning it was the whole buying it from Andre thing.
He did hold it for 2 days, didn't he? 2 days?
Yeah, but it's not even counted as official. He's not counted as a champion.
I've held the WWE title longer than he has.
Right. And the thing is, like, think about it. Even if they had gone with that being the way he won the title, and that way he never had to pin Hogan, yada yada yada, I think you could have still given him like a 6-month reign. I think you could have given him till maybe like SummerSlam, and like had maybe Savage beat him for it then, or something. I mean, you certainly would have spared us of that really shitty WrestleMania 4 tournament, you know.
You hated the tournament? You hated it?
I hate that tournament.
I don't hate it.
So many of those matches should be good, and are really shitty.
No, I don't hate it, but there were a lot of missed opportunities there, honestly.
I've tried to go back and do WrestleMania rewatches where I rewatch them in order.
I get
to that one and I go, all right, I can't do this anymore.
Yep.
Well, what I would do is watch the Macho matches. That's it. Watch the Macho's matches, and that's it.
4's a killer.
But that isn't watching it in order.
I agree.
But my point is that I think that DiBiase as a heel champion, even for just a couple of months, would have been a lot of fun. And it's not like the guy didn't deserve it. It's not like the guy didn't have one of the most over acts. I mean, look, like this is like a couple of decades later, and we're still talking about him.
He's arguably top 5 heel of all time. Top 5.
It's a top 5 like character of all time.
Yeah.
It's up there with like the Undertaker and stuff like that. Like he's not. You know, you know who he is. Most people who aren't even wrestling fans know who the $1 Million Man is.
Of course. Well, he's a victim of the era. That's more than anything else. He plays him in Attitude or Rules of Aggression. He's getting a couple of title shots.
And the thing is, I think that he was positioned in the right place to actually validly have it for, like I said, a short reign. I think that you really could have made that work. Like, honestly, like, look, I know a lot of people say, like, Mr. Perfect's another good answer. And, like, yeah, in the ring, skill-wise, even being over, yeah, Mr. Perfect, like, totally deserved it from that perspective. But he was never put in a position to actually be world champion contender.
There was one run of Hogan. That's it.
Yeah, but like not like I mean, how memorable is that even? You know what I mean?
It wasn't terrible.
Hogan perfected.
Wasn't terrible.
DiBiase was positioned where he could have easily been the world champion for a short time.
Joe,
and I don't know why they didn't pull that trigger.
Joe, his manager, the Genius, won a fucking match against Hogan. Albeit a count out. But still, he won the fucking match on Sunday Main Event November of 89. So, I
mean... my tag team, I'm going to go with a team that not only did they never win a title anywhere, I think they had 8 matches. They deserved a lot more of an opportunity. They could have been the greatest tag team in WCW history. Ladies and gentlemen, Buff Bagwell, Scott Norton, Vicious and Delicious. Such an underrated team.
I love it.
Oh, God.
I remember you bringing them up in another tag team conversation.
I will bring them up anytime I can.
So great.
Their name was Vicious and Delicious.
Oh, God. That's good.
And the sad part is they were good together. They had chemistry. It was weird.
It really was weird.
Okay, Mikey, go ahead.
So I have a couple of different takes here. Some of them from just WWE perspective. Some of them from the bigger picture. I'll start. I have 2 tag teams that I want to discuss. Maybe 3, because Joe just brought another team into my head. First up, the Rockers.
Yes.
Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty never got a tag title run together.
Oh, I had that one. Never mind. I'm not going there.
Nope.
I'm not going there. Broken ropes!
Yeah, does not count because the top rope wasn't attached properly.
Drawing dead on that one, definitely.
So I feel like they had it all. They were like the dreamy, everybody loved them tag team. And for some reason, they just even if their title run was what it would have been, like a 1 week, 2 week, a month or 2 here thing. I'm surprised they never got a run.
Yeah.
I totally agree.
Well, I feel like also too, and this is I like that pick, Mike, because so the Rockers came in 87, but really 88 because they was sent down again for a while and they came back in. So they went through the demolition domination for 88 through 89. Brainbusters comes out of nowhere, So I'm sure they could have won 89. That was also because of Brainbusters. And then by then, the Hart Foundation gained momentum again, and they got the title in 90.
So what's funny?
Bad luck.
What's kind of funny? We were just talking earlier when we were talking about Wrestlemania and stuff about how could all of a sudden Brock Lesnar now retain the title because Vince changes his mind? Case in point, he literally decided let's put the tag titles on the Rockers. They couldn't use the match, and then he was like, nah, let's not put the tag titles on them. And then they never got the tag titles.
No, never got the title.
Yeah. Case in point.
So, I mean,
absolutely.
Fucking Vince, dude.
The second tag team that I want to bring to the forefront here, Joe, I think you'll get a kick out of this one, paying homage to the WCW days.
Ooh.
Mortis and Wrath.
The fuck?
Ooh.
They were the Mortal Kombat knockoffs that were feuding with Glacier.
This is late 90s still? This is still late 90s, right?
I didn't love them as a team, but I feel like Mortis should have been the Undertaker of WCW.
Mortis and who?
Wrath.
Adam Bomb. He was
okay.
Adam Bomb when he went over to WCW.
Oh, I see. I'm actually looking it up now. Yeah. I remember them now. I remember them. Yeah.
Yeah. With Father James Mitchell as their manager.
It was pre-Chronic. Yeah. Pre-Chronic, post Adam Bomb, whatever his name was.
And another WCW tag team, because you brought him up, and now I have to do this just because. You brought up Scott Norton. How about we add him to Ice Train and we go back to Fire and Ice?
Oh my God.
Oh Jesus. Oh wow.
Oh God, that tag team was so deep.
I feel like we need to have
topic.
I feel like we need to have a topic where it's like tag teams that had less than 10 matches, but you think should have been greatest tag teams of all time.
What's funny though, what's funny though, guys, is that those teams probably could have got a lot more play if the NWO didn't take all the oxygen out of the fucking room.
Oh hell yeah!
Oh,
that's the problem.
My singles competitors, First one's going to surprise you. He has 140 championship reigns during his illustrious wrestling career. 0 inside of a WWE ring. Jerry the King Lawler.
Oh. But what belt would you have put on him? The world
The
title?
Intercontinental title.
Interesting.
I would have put it on him during one of those random Jeff Jarrett as the champion throwaways.
Yeah, 95.
Right. When him and Bret were in a feud, I could have had Bret win the title from somebody, have Jerry win it for a month or two, and then Bret win it back, and then Bret lose it to whoever's next.
During the Isaac Yankem era.
You know, what's funny? What's funny for me is I feel like Lawler's one of those wrestlers where like a person like me, if you grew up only watching WWF and all you know is his WWF work, like you just don't get the hype.
Yes.
Agreed.
Like I love him as an
I
announcer.
agree. Absolutely.
But I always kind of hated when he'd have matches on WWF pay-per-views.
I kind of did too. And War destroyed him, the horrible match. The Bret Hart match was that bad. Well, him, Bret, SummerSlam, right.
Right.
I
They had
agree.
good matches. They had a couple matches. But I mean, that's Bret
I
Hart.
credit Bret for that one, though. Bret was fucking...
I bet he has nothing nice to say about Lawler.
Probably not.
Probably not. I'm going to ask him next time he's on the IG.
Second out of my 3 of the single stars. Never won the world title in WWE either. I don't think he won it in WCW. The Hot Rod. Roddy.
That's a good one. Won the IC title, though, for a little while, but...
Yes, he did win the IC title. I'm saying he didn't win the world title. That's why I'm saying that he was specific to the world title, where Lawler was just any title.
Right. But I will say this
Piper-
also, too. Well, go ahead, Joe. Go ahead.
Piper's another one victim of his time, because if he had been the top heel in WWF in 1999, there's no way he wouldn't have held the world title for at least 30 days. But being top heel in WWF in 1985, all it gets you is a loss to Hulk Hogan.
Yeah. Which actually was, literally.
Multiple losses to Hulk Hogan.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. But, you know, also, like, obviously he's a victim of his era, but another guy like Jake Roberts didn't really need it. He was really over. So, heel and face was over. Didn't need it.
I mean, whether he needs it or not is irrelevant.
Right.
He should have had an opportunity to win it. I feel like he would have been a guy who could have put the title on another pedestal where it was like, oh, okay, well, here's this. Let's take it to that next step. You know, Piper wins it, has it for a while. You know, he's getting chased by Hogan. He keeps sneaking out, getting cheap win after cheap win. And then, you know, Hogan finally gets his hands on him. You know, it's kind of like the things that they would do with, like, King Kong Bundy, where Bundy would try to kill him. So let's put him in a cage so they can get at each other. You know, you could have had Roddy run and not let him get to him. And then all of a sudden you're like, boop, now you got to fight him in a cage. And now you got to go do this.
Right. Which is strange, too, because, like, after that run against Hogan in 85 and early 86, he never got a shot at it again.
You know, I also sort of feel like the argument of someone not needing the title, and I feel like it's a weird argument because technically you can make that argument about a lot of people who have had the title. Like if Randy Savage had never become world champion, he'd still be in conversations as one of the greatest of all time.
Of course.
I mean,
he didn't need the title.
Let's look at it from this standpoint. Hogan didn't need the fucking title.
No, he didn't. You would have had 2 main stars in the company if you had Hogan and someone who was world champion.
Exactly. Hogan didn't need the title. Hogan won the title because it supposedly got him more money.
It's the reason why there aren't 2 main stars. It was just Hogan.
Yeah. And last but not least, another guy did not win the world title in WCW or in WWE, and I thought could have been a great world champion, especially with his gimmick in WWE. That is the bad guy, Razor.
That's a good one.
Ramon.
That's a really good one.
Yeah, I like that.
I think if he would have stayed in WWE when Nash left, I think he would have gotten a world title run.
I agree.
That's the timer, but I want to finish my thought process on this before we move on.
I was just like, is UPS there?
Yes. I think if he would have stayed in WWE whenever Nash left, he would have gotten a world title run. He would have been a guy that Shawn could have had a feud with outside of Bret that would have made great matches in the ring, especially if you date back to what they did at Wrestlemania 10, the SummerSlam ladder match later on, and other random matches they've had together. Yes, he had an IC title run here or there, especially with that ladder match at WrestleMania 10. but I felt like he had that character, and I'm not trying to sound insensitive or wrong. He was the Latin demographics draw. And the fact that, like, they could have hit that market, like, 7 or 8 years earlier than when they finally pulled the trigger and let Eddie win the title. Could you imagine how much more, like that would have generated, like, more people watching the show? Like, oh my God, we have a guy from Miami who's playing this Cuban drug lord as the world champion. Like, you could have gotten so many more people that, didn't care about wrestling to, like, watch wrestling because of the character that was that had the title.
Can I admit one thing? I know we can't have time to talk about it. Can I admit one thing?
Go ahead.
Yes.
Growing up as a kid, I always kind of wondered why they had this white dude playing a Latino. Like, I never bought him as Latino.
I'm sorry, dude.
I'm not saying that I did either, but the squiggly hair in the front always just, like...
No, he was supposed to be Tony Montana.
Yeah.
Whatever,
I know, that's what I'm saying.
You're not wrong. And I didn't buy Al Pacino as a Latino dude either.
Exactly.
I loved it when I saw Scott Hall last week on SmackDown. Hey, yo. The best.
Throw the toothpick at him. Let's go.
Fucking best, dude. Anyway. All right. I think one more, right, Joe?
Yeah, it's Joe's.
Yeah. All right. The topic that I bring to you today, and it's a bit inspired, a little bit from listening to, like, Jim Cornette's podcast a lot lately.
Good job.
Yeah, I've been enjoying them. I'm not going to lie. I find him entertaining, even if I don't necessarily agree with everything he says. It's an entertaining show, if nothing else, which honestly, a lot of other podcasts that I used to really love listening to, I feel like have gotten less and less entertaining recently. So that's why I've been listening to Cornette a bit more.
Is that a certain 5 podcasts that have saturated the market on wrestling?
Yes.
Which one's that?
We're going to move on.
Yeah.
Do I know what it is?
Yes.
It's very obvious.
Ooh.
You may be able to save with said person.
Yes.
Okay.
It's just like there's like 5 of them or 10 of them or something, and they're all kind of feeling like they're being phoned in my opinion. But I don't want to talk like it's not, I love the show. I still listen, but But anyway, my point is the topic I'm bringing is that I'm wondering if you guys feel the way I feel, which is that I sort of feel like we've gotten to a point in pro wrestling where we've all accepted this is not reality. This is not like boxing. This is not MMA. This is not any of that. This is scripted. These people are playing characters. I feel like generally that's a known thing at this point. So given that, do you feel like wrestlers still need to stay in character after the show is over? Because back in like the 80s and the 70s, like, yeah, that was a thing. Like, faces and heels wouldn't even like drive together or go out to dinner together and stuff. They tried to really push the reality of pro wrestling. But in 2020, it's not a thing. And the fact that you still have people like MJF, who I think is a great heel on TV, but I think it's a little much when he's like just out where nobody's around and flipping off kids. Because what? Because he's a heel on TV?
He's a heel!
But that's kind of ridiculous. Like, honestly, like, the bad guy on 24 isn't going around shooting people. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, at a certain point, you gotta let go of, like, oh, this is reality. That's how I feel. I don't know how you guys feel.
I'm with you on that one, honestly. I'm with you on that one. This idea, and I think that has to do with, protecting the business, but that's been gone already. We know this is scripted.
It's gone, right?
That's gone already. What are you protecting? What are you protecting at this point? We know this is... I get kind of annoyed also when they put the storylines on the IGs also. Like, I kind of hate that. Like, you see a picture...
like earlier today whenever Dolph Ziggler...
Thank you. And Manny Rose? Dumb. Dumb.
Unless they're actually dating. If they're actually dating, then it's not dumb.
Is she married now? Still? I thought she was still married.
Who the fuck
I went to my college. That's my contribution. I don't know if she's married.
Yeah, I have no fucking idea.
I'm just saying she went to Iona.
Oh, she did? Okay.
Go Gales.
Yes.
The point is, though, man, you don't need to do it at this point. Now, what are you protecting at this point? We know this is scripted. We know these guys have lives outside of this business. let it call for. That's why I hate when they try to make it like sports, and records and all this stuff. Like it's not a sport; it's sports entertainment.
That's AEW that did that, by the way.
Say again.
That was AEW that decided.
Oh yeah. That's as a whole. That's a whole. The whole thing. Yeah. So
I
feel
like it works both ways too. Like honestly, we all found out that Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch were dating, but they didn't need to all of a sudden be dating on TV. That was a fucking train wreck.
Yeah.
Why? What was the point of that? What was the purpose of doing that on TV other than, it happens to be real?
And guess what? It puts you in the corner too. Like this shit's bad. Like it puts you in the corner.
Right? Exactly.
I don't like it.
When it came to that, they booked themselves into a problem that they had nothing set up for Seth after WrestleMania.
Right.
And Becky was red hot. It just kind of, they thought it was going to work, and then it didn't work. And then they tried to make it work, and then they found out it didn't work, and then they stopped.
Right.
That was more like hey, we screwed up and didn't have anything ready for Seth after WrestleMania, so let's do something to kind of keep pushing Becky and let Seth, find something to go with, kind of thing. And that kind of blew up in their face. What I would say is that I feel that there are certain wrestlers that, coming out of character and doing things on social media and stuff like that, can kind of come off a little, I'm not going to say, what's the word I'm looking for? Can come off forced, maybe?
Yes.
Or unnecessary.
Yes.
From an unnecessary standpoint, Undertaker having a Twitter and commenting about his wife not being on the most recognized women's list on WWE. Why is the Undertaker on Twitter?
Right.
Like, I don't get it. I don't feel like he should be on Twitter, and that's no offense to the Undertaker, but you worked in the early 90s, even the late 80s in AWA and all that stuff. You understand, you came through that where it's you have to play this character. You have to play the, who was it in WCW, that got his eyes fucking caught on fire that couldn't see?
You're talking about Sandman in ECW, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
I was thinking about that too. Yeah, he went around for a month pretending to literally be blind.
Yeah, playing it up to a T. Stuff like that, for the expansion of a storyline. Awesome. Cool thing. Don't think it would work in 2020.
Right. We're just, it's a different time now. It's a different, things are different. We all, that's what I'm saying. I don't think anyone in the world thinks that wrestling is real at this point.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
I think that people still tune in, and there's definitely the element of, anything can happen, but I think you do that in the same way that you watch Game of Thrones to see who's going to die this week. You know what I mean?
Factual.
I don't think, I think we're so far past it, and I think it's like I said, one of the things with Jim Cornette, and I'm not, not to talk about him at all or anything, but you get the sense that he really loved the way that it used to be, and I get it, and yes, it worked, and it was great, but you can't reinvent the wheel. You can't go back to the way something was. All of a sudden, people are not going to just suddenly be oh yeah, I used to think wrestling was fake, but now I think it's real again. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, no, and I think, like I said, I think there are certain wrestlers that, playing that role, and them then showing up on social media and saying things can come off very, very weird, a la the situation. And maybe that's a very, small number.
Seth Rollins plays a heel on TV, but, tweets out funny commentary about other matches.
I'd rather get to know these people outside of the ring, too, also. You know what I mean? Who they really are. Not the on-screen shit. I'm sorry. I don't, like Mike was just saying, the Mandy Rose, Dolph Ziggler thing. Look, I don't think they're dating. And if they are, fine, but why? Stop. It's not interesting. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe the kids love it. Maybe the kids love it, I guess.
All I'll say about that Instagram post is I am waiting for that day that good young man, Otis Dozovich, gets his hands on that scumbag Dolph Ziggler.
I'm with you, 100%. 100%.
Well, because, I know one thing. How much time do I have left, Mike?
5
6
minutes?
and a half
There
minutes.
we go, yeah.
Oh, okay. We're gonna end early on this one, but I have one last thing I want to throw in.
Okay.
I know a couple of weeks ago, maybe even as much as a month ago, there was a whole story going around about Shayna Baszler and like some parent, I think some dad had hit her up on Twitter and been like, "Hey, can you not say the word shit on TV? Because my daughter watches and looks up to you, and now she thinks that she can say that, blah blah blah." And Shayna Baszler responded. Her response. So what's funny is, I feel like a lot of people read her response as being very in character and very like, oh, she's being a heel, she's not, apologizing to his dad and stuff. But I think her response was actually out of character. I think her response was actually almost like an actress responding to something like a complaint like that. Because her response was her saying, "Hey, look, I'm a bad guy on a TV show. If your child looks up to me, maybe you need to have a conversation with your child." And the thing is, like, that's the truth. But that's not, I mean, it's funny, right? Like, half the time a heel is a heel because they're telling the truth. You know what I mean? Like, that's a fact, honestly. Like,
It's like Charles Barkley said once upon a time on a commercial, Old Spice commercial. Parents should be role models.
right.
Was it Old Spice? No, it was Nike, actually.
All right. So on the Shayna Baszler topic, that you brought to the forefront. Okay, here's the thing: Shayna, Ronda, Velasquez, Fury, they're fighters. They fight for a living. They don't do this performance art that we are sitting here talking about.
Now they do.
Now, okay. Tyson Fury still boxes.
Yeah, Fury still boxes. Best in the world, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
The lineal heavyweight champion of the world. So, the point that I'm making is, they don't turn that switch off. That fighter mentality is still there. And if you're leading into a pay-per-view, and you're leading into a big fight, and someone says something to you, you have a choice of either trash-talking back and saying things that may come off as offensive and or whatever to get whoever it is you're fighting fired up, or you can take I'm going to let my stuff in the ring or in the octagon or in the cage, whatever it is, do the backing up for me.
Right.
I don't think Shayna Baszler turned that switch off. I think Shayna Baszler is going to be Shayna Baszler, and Shayna Baszler is going to say the things that Shayna Baszler wants to say, whether you like them or not. It's really irrelevant to Shayna, and I think that's like her thought process when it comes, especially to that certain individual. She said well, if you don't like it, I don't care.
Right.
And that's kind of what she would say to, like, even Dana or Joe Rogan or something like that. Like, oh, I don't think that what you did in this fight was professional. And I think she'd look at him like, did I get the win? Yeah, okay, then I don't really give a shit.
Right.
And I think that's just Shayna's mentality. I think that's a lot of the people. Ronda was the same way. Whenever she had her own YouTube stuff and she was answering questions, and she was like, I don't care what anyone thinks about me because, I'm going to do what I want to do and I'm going to get paid to do what I want to do. And WWE's going to pay me to do it. And if you don't like it, guess what? Shut up and buy tickets.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
True that.
They don't turn that switch off. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It just makes it different because they're not doing the same thing that the 185 other people are doing.
Right.
So it kind of puts a broader, like a bigger microscope on the 6 or 7 of them that do it. Filthy Tom Lawler, Shayna, guys like that still have that MMA like mindset still. They get that rapport of, they don't turn that, oh, this is a work, this isn't a shoot.
Right.
So.
Alrighty. MVPs, where you go? You forgot, didn't you, Joe? Look at that. I feel it.
No, I know what my MVP is. Honestly, I'm dead truthful here. I think the MVP needs to be the entirety of the cast and the wrestlers and the crew of SmackDown.
Oh, yeah.
Because they did not need to be performing. Nobody else is performing. No other sports, no other concerts. They could have very easily, if they didn't feel safe traveling, I don't know how many of them live close to the performance center. I don't know what the deal was with that. Some of them might have had to take planes and stuff. It's a very scary time right now. And you know what? The fact that they were willing to do all of that, beyond props.
Are you ready for a good time? Well, mine's on the same thing. Obviously SmackDown, but Triple H, MVP this week.
Okay.
Phenomenal job. Just doing his thing, and I said the whole cast as well too. I had kind of the same vibe as well too. Michael?
We're gonna go with it. My original selection was Triple H because I thought he really did great on the commentary of the show.
Mm-hmm.
But for purposes of not wanting to have the same picks, my MVP goes to someone who has finally gotten rid of the worst gimmick that WWE has brought into our attention over the last 6 months. My MVP is Drew McIntyre for killing that fucking spider.
Yeah, I heard about that. I haven't seen Raw yet, but I heard about that.
That is how you kill an angle. That was a modern Mae Young gives birth to a hand right there.
Yeah, that was a Vince finally going, all right, what the fuck is going on with this?
Like whatever it ends up being is never going to succeed. So just make it something dumb and just get rid of it.
Make it stop.
Time for Eric Rowan to come to AEW. How about that? Let's go.
No. I think he can still be successful there. I think the thing is I don't think anyone knows how to really use him in a bigger thing. I think he could be paired with somebody and be a pretty good tag team. I know he had a good partner with Harper until Harper kept getting hurt.
And him and Daniel Bryan. I liked him and Daniel Bryan for a little while, but
No, well, that didn't work because Bryan needed to go back to being a face, and you can't have the big guy be a face after intellectual equals. Oh, that was the last topic.
Alrighty. Anyway, Mike, plug the podcast, man. The other podcast. You guys have your own podcast as well.
Well, we haven't done the Super Crazy Sports Spectacular.
Slackers.
No sports.
We will.
Sports going on.
We got nothing else going on.
Yeah. With not a lot of sports going on,
sports, right, yeah.
we haven't really missed a lot. So we'll get back into that probably this week with the start of NFL free agency. We'll talk about some stuff. Also, the Name Subject to Change podcast. Me and Joe sit down and we talk about some other wrestling stuff. We go a little bit more open format.
Mm-hmm.
What?
You sit during that? That's not fair.
Well, I kind of move around. I float. Sometimes I sit, sometimes I stand. Depends on how my ankles feel.
Oh, nice.
I would also like to say that on that, for the next coming up ones that we do, me and Joe are going to go back and watch the 2011 moving forward pay-per-views.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So we're going to talk about the year that was 2010 on this week's show, and we'll probably talk about some of the 2011s there as well. I have this really interesting thing on my TV right now from YouTube, the Parts Fun Known channel. It's how would Adam would have booked Jinder Mahal's WWE title run. I'm going to watch that when we get off here. I'm kind of interested to see how somebody would have booked it differently, because I think he could have been a decent champion. I just think
they hindered him.
They hindered him by messing with him while he's on Tinder.
Yep.
As always, subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, Stitch Radio. What am I missing? Anything else? That's it.
If you have a podcast format that you haven't heard Earnest talk about yet, it's probably there.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So follow Mike on Twitter, of course, at They Call Me Bern, BERN. Joe Lopez on, never mind. We ain't doing that. So, guys, fellas.
If you can find Joe on social media, follow him.
Yes.
Good luck.
Burner accounts galore.
May the odds be forever in your favor.
Exactly. For Mike, for Joe, I'm Ernest Christian. Till next one. Stay safe, guys.
Corona.
Later.